Welcome to another edition of the Motley Croc Show. It is March 7th, 2024. And you didn't see a show last week because we were out at the May Stringer House. So tonight's show with my regular host, the Manic Satanic, Britt from Brit Investigates. We're going to have a special guest, Anthony from the Conservative Ant. He says his name cool like Raimondi. I'll let him say it when he gets on there, but this is really funny. Anyways, we're going to talk about that tonight and some other spooky things and what we got coming up for the haunted fun of the world. So we're going to go ahead and bring everybody in and get started. So I'm going to start off with Manic Satanic. What's up, buddy? How you living?
What's up, y'all? How you doing, man?
Britt.
Hi.
And last but definitely should have been first, the Conservative Ant. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hi, everybody. Great. Hi, how are you guys?
Good.
Good.
So normally we just start off. How everybody was this week. We've been in contact. Jeff, I'm sure you've been saving lives. Hello, Judy. Jeff from Texas is here. Cody, let's go. Beginner guys here. Let's go. Yeah. So how's the saving people, bud?
It's good. I worked last night. I pulled some overtime, some ER shifts. So it's been pretty busy. You know, people are getting sick. So, you know, it's a recession-proof business, so to speak. But yeah, no, I love it. I start my floating in a couple weeks, so I'll be down doing some orientation in Clearwater next week.
Great,
awesome.
Hospital. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. It's really been fun so far. So.
Great. All right, that's awesome. B, how was your week?
Week's been good. It's just been really, really busy. So I feel like I've just been running kind of all over the place, trying to slow down a little bit, but it seems like it's just going to keep getting more and more busy.
It sure is. Sure is. Ant, tell us about your week and last week.
Great. It's been a fabulous week, and I had the most amazing time with you all.
Thank you.
Last week, I'm missing all of my little animals that I got to spend time with.
Who was your favorite?
Cappy. I know.
Oh, yeah, he's so sweet. He's like a puppy dog.
Yeah.
Yes, no, Cappy's amazing.
Amazing. I mean, the most social animal ever. But yeah, no, it was definitely a good week.
Cat in the background.
That's awesome. It's awesome. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the May Stringer House. We actually grabbed Ant. He's gonna outreach into the paranormal with us a little bit. I know people were excited about that, so we want to give that to him. So from what I understand, Ant, you've always been sensitive to things. So, and I don't mean sensitive sensitive, my God, poor person, but sensitive as far as the supernatural. Maybe your loved ones watching you over, and in some people's cases, guardian angels and other spirits, demons, etc. So you've always been very in tune to it. You want to tell me a little bit about that as you coming up as a kid? Like, when did you first see it? Let me be clear. Like, when did you first realize that you had those experiences?
Yeah, I think I was about 6 or 7 years old when I realized that I really can feel like a presence all the time.
Okay.
And they're never bad for me. They've never been really bad type of feelings or bad presence, but I have been in places before in my life where I knew instantly when I walked in. I was like, felt a connection. What happened here? I've also I have very vivid dreams about things that I shouldn't remember, like my grandfather's funeral. I was six months old or a year old. I remember it vividly. And my parents are like, it's impossible. You remember who is holding you. So, I mean, I've just always been connected in that way. And it showed me exactly how connected I was just this past week with the May house, because I felt like it was, there was at least 3 different spirits or entities that were kind of messing with me. And I feel that it was only me.
You feel like it was only you?
I feel that way. I mean, I don't know, Britt. Did you also? I feel like she kind of had a connection as well to some of them that were in there. I had personal touching. I remember I was the last one coming down the flight of stairs, and everybody was in front of me, and I said, Troy, you have to go faster because they're touching the back of my neck. Like it was It was like this on the back of my neck. And then I had a prankster entity that was not of any of the others that we had seen, upstairs in the house, that had brought really strong, oh my God, it's coming back. Really strong emotions when I don't even know why I feel like I can see his face.
What did he look like?
Yeah.
He's almost like a jackal.
Really?
Yeah. Like really big smile. Just real, I have chills. Yeah, and he just kept on kind of just not in a mean way, but just taunting me and joking with me the entire time. And I think you guys saw that because I was
Well, let me ask you a question. Let me touch on something a little off. Let's go a little sideways with that. So you said it's making you feel bad. Was he feel bad, or was he just teasing you?
Teasing me.
Okay. I think we carry who we are into our next life, right? So if you're a prankster, if you're boring, if you're working, I mean, you're just going to be that person, even if you're gay. And I remember little girls were rough back in the day when we were kids. They would like flirt with you, but in a way that they would be mean, like they would insult you, So what if he wasn't? Yeah, pinch you and my friend. So what if he was like maybe he might have liked you? And, I mean, I might have been maybe he wasn't mean or taunting. Maybe he was like flirting, or it's someone new. Maybe because on that side, there's that possibility too. I mean, you're a pretty cute little guy.
I appreciate that. There was a story of an entity in that house that remember there in the attic there was a chest.
Sure.
And there's an entity that's connected to that chest, and people leave him gifts.
Right.
He's known to be a prankster. I left him on the chest when we first went up to the attic a cigarette because the woman who ran the tour watches the house, she had said, he liked to smoke cigars, he liked to smoke. So I said, okay, I'll leave him a cigarette. So
I remember that. I remember that. Yep.
So it could have been him walking down the stairs with us that kind of went like this on the back of my neck and then hung out in the kitchen with me. I don't know. I didn't feel scared. I was emotional because I was able to see his face without seeing him. So it was an emotion that I had never felt. It was a feeling that I had never felt, and it was a premonition that I had never felt. So that's why I cried.
Okay. So you don't think it was like, okay. So but you didn't find it to be like aggressive, right? Like if it was just
no, he was not.
You just didn't get it. It was like kind of he was just picking on you kind of a thing.
Yeah, well, I think he knows I'm a little dramatic, so he was probably trying to.
So with that being said, I think let me get back here. Boop. I just think that with that being said, and I think that yeah, I guess so. You think that was the same one that was upstairs, that went back upstairs and was bothering you upstairs?
Yeah, and I believe that the first one that was talking to us in the attic was probably a child.
Really? Hey, Bill, how are you? So, Brittany, why don't you do me a favor for all of us here and the viewers? Can you tell me a little bit about the May String House? Like, I know you know some things about it, probably more than I would because you really like that particular house. So I'd really like to hear what you have to say about it.
As far as what? As far as like hauntings go? I mean, as far as like the history of it, it was, pretty simple history, unfortunately.
No, not the history, just the haunting part. I know there was a doctor, and then they were like, performing things like surgeries and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the haunting side go, it's I mean, even talking to them even more so now regarding the hauntings, it's extremely picked up activity over the span of the last year or two. They're not really sure why. The activity seems to almost like a bus stop. So it's a constant flow of entities to where it's not like they have a consistency of ownership. Like the original owners' names will come up on the ghost box or the portals when they're talking to them. Which I think is interesting, but for the most part, the spirits seem to come and go. So it's almost like, and I would agree, it would be in a sense a portal, but I don't necessarily think it's a portal. There's just some areas that are high frequency that really open up to where these where the veil, how I like to say is where the veil is the thinnest. So this location would be where the veil might be the thinnest. Therefore, you're getting more activity of spirits, because in the spiritual world, and Troy, you know, when we've bent, when you go into that plane, the spirits are everywhere. They're all congregating and going everywhere together at the same time. And so if you have a location much like the Maystringer home that's presenting the same type of frequency and energy, when you are in the investigation and you're in it and you're bending into it, I just think that the veil is really thin at the Maystringer
I
house,
agree with that.
allowing for us to see and interact with all these spirits.
And
I just find it very...
You, sorry to interrupt you, but the timelines are merging. This is kind of something that's like in your realm right here. This comment.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say something, Brittany, too. You're right, Ant. That isn't her realm. A lot of people don't, and I appreciate that comment, Texan 00. That is how timelines are merging, because I view things a lot differently. And I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, but I do know that when you go into a spiritual realm, we're not taking our glasses with us. We're not taking our Walkmans, our headphones, our clothes. Like the shirt that Ant has on, he's not taking that with him. Okay. So he's going to go with his spirit. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to understand him because, you know, you're going to communicate on different things. So when someone comes up to me like, yeah, I saw a ghost. He had a top hat on. He was, you know, he had a briefcase and all this kind of stuff. No, I don't, in my own personal opinion of that, I don't think that you're seeing a ghost. I think that you're dimensionally crossing over. Like she said, the veil was thin, but there are a lot of people that look for ghosts, right? That see that. And if you say that to them, they get a little bit upset, saying like, you know what you're doing or whatever, this and that. Now I've dealt with seeing ghosts before, and I've never seen stuff like that. It's always an outline. Like I explained to you that night when we were at your place, Aunt. We saw an older woman, and then we had something happen. First you thought it might have been, and then a phone call came right afterwards, and I'm like, holy shit, you know? But so when you see like something like that, I think there's a lot of reports too. Let us not forget, there's a lot of reports where there are old documentation as far back as like the 1700s of people seeing people that didn't look the same as them and then gone in a flash. Okay. So I think they're seeing the same thing sometimes. Maybe they're not haunting. Maybe we're haunting them, you know? So you have to remember that they see us. I mean, if me and Jeff walk into a room, they're like, well, the gates of hell has have no fury. They're going to, I mean, and in the time zone, we're probably, if they could catch us, we'd be on the Salem witch trial. So, I mean, it's all like relevant there. But when Brittany was talking about crossing over, bending in, one of the main reasons I was with Brittany one time, I think the first time I had ever seen her do it, or maybe the first time she ever did it, I don't know, because her way of seeing or feeling things was different. But at this particular time, we were in St. Augustine, Florida. We were not on a ghost tour. We were not on anything that anybody goes to at all. No. It's not a tourist trap. It was a piece of private property that happened to be purchased by new owners. And when they had started re-renovate, they were tearing down plaster walls, and they found bars, brick rooms and bars. They pulled the floor up. There were scratchings in the floor from the 1500s, dude. Man. Right? So then they find out that really wasn't a holding jail that came in off the water, and they would put these people in. Mm-hmm. So we went in there, and you know, you had some people bebopping around and stuff. But again, and this is why I say that sometimes there are portals, and maybe some of these places that are quote unquote haunted are on areas where of the earth where the magnetic timelines are thin and the veil's thin, because a lot of weird stuff happens there, and not a lot of people understand that. So I was in the room, and when I start to go, what happens is when you start to go over into that, and it could be to someone who's a complete atheist or has no faith in anything, it's fine. You can describe it as schizophrenia or whatever. But I'll be happy being a schizophrenic then. So at the end of the time, we kind of fall forward, but you realize you're not going to fall. But it almost is like you're floating in a pool. And the things sound more windy, and it's a little more open. And you hear a lot of sounds. I understand that they're speaking, but you hear a lot of sounds. And there were these tall beings walking and moving by. And I say walking because they just kind of float around in front of you. So I'm using a mortal term. And Brittany's like, oh, shit, I feel like I'm going to fall. Like, you're not going to fall. Just hang out. Right. And I didn't say anything that I was already in that realm. So then I knew she really wasn't pulling my hand. And then she goes, whoa, who's this? And there was another thing standing next to us that was very tall, but it was going more Brittany. And then we bring Jimmy in. Now, Jimmy's another one of us that goes out with us and does a lot of this stuff. He's a sensitive too. So we were putting him in the corners on purpose. And this was long after the little kid came through the room and pulled on him or whatever. And I'm still struggle with child ghosts myself. So I'm trying to you know, there's a lot of theory to that. Like you go back to your childhood of what you were, and you can become that entity. You know, your child, you like to play, be facetious, you know, maybe. But so I have a problem with it, on personal things. But then this face comes around Jimmy in front of everyone, not just me and Brittany. You can see the psychic that was there, the woman that had no belief in any of that was between us, and then the camera person. And in the camera, you see it. You can see it. Like, obviously, it's not like this blinking thing, but you see this move around Jimmy. And the lady next to me, who had absolutely had never had anything, didn't believe in any of that stuff, was like, oh my gosh, I see it right there. And she pointed right at it. And it's all caught on film. So then I'm thinking, okay, I'm not crazy now. There are things that I'm not crazy. And we found out that we were in the room that we were stuffed in. It was an extremely small room where they had tortured people and kept them in like darkness. So can you imagine what happens in there? You know, the scratching, imagine. So, and I'm sure not all prisoners back then were guilty, simply because back in those days, if you were a different color, or you were starving, you took an apple, or you were gay, you were abused, burnt, shot, and thrown in holes. So things were a lot different. It wasn't like these people were criminals, but they died in a torturous fashion. And I remember those types of situations. So that's my spin on that. And I wanted to say that because there are some viewers on here that are new to this. And I wanted them to understand that there's those types of hauntings aren't always malicious. And some of them, like Brittany specializes in, is time bending, which is where the veil is thin. Like I said, you'll see different things. And you'll see those people there in that time. And I just think we're all going in different dimensions because we're all dimensional beings. But our times run different. I mean, what you comment on that, Jeff? What do you feel? I mean, I would really believe that.
The coolest part about Brittany's take on it is that's where it's the closest point where conventional everyday science meets with the parasciences. You know, I mean, if you look at that, you know, guys like Einstein who theorized about the bending of time and the wrinkles in the timelines, you know, and then when you get into the parascience of it all, that's the closest that we get to the spirit side. You know, it's the common ground kind of between that conventional everyday science and the science that people are more reluctant to believe, whether it's cognitive dissonance or, you know, they just don't want to believe it. You know, they're afraid, or their teaching, you know, their upbringing restricts them from believing stuff like that. So I think that's the coolest way to look at the spirit world, that it's not necessarily a ghost or a haunting, but it's an alternate timeline.
Right.
Yep.
I think a lot of cases that's like that. I do.
Yeah, I think, Troy, I think you have sorry to interrupt you. I think you have a really good point too on the clothing aspect of it, because for me, in my experience this last time, I didn't see an outfit or a hat or clothing. And it's not even that you can explain the specific features. I just knew that he had this grin. That was it. There was no...
I've seen that entity before, Ant, the one you're talking about. I've seen him.
Oh, you
before.
have?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now
Yep.
I have the chills. Now my eyes are watery once again.
He's very, that entity is very aggressive and very manipulative, and really likes to take over and make you feel insignificant and bully you. I've dealt with him before. I've dealt with that spirit before in other locations before.
And I have a spin on that. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a spin on it. I think that and you're gonna see this in day-to-day physical humans or creatures. Every time, and I work a lot with animals and a lot of different animals, not just, you know, everybody's like, oh, reptiles. No, I work with a lot of different things, and I get to experience a lot of things. And over my years of working in that and understanding the supernatural feeling of, wow, you can actually see that animal, to where the point is, like, if I went into one of my animals in exhibits and someone set one of my animals in, I know who they are by the way they move. I don't even have to see them. I know the way they move and the way they act. Okay. Mm-hmm. I know when Ozzy comes over to me. I know when Slash comes over to me. These are my lemurs, folks. So if you want to know what I'm talking about lemurs. They're young, they're like little young people forever, little 2-year-olds forever. But you can put me in one different spot and bring each animal in, and I don't even have to see or smell. You can take all my senses, and I will tell you exactly what that animal is and which one it is. So, like Jeff and I are over animated as far as tattooed or pierced or whatever they want to call us, servants of Satan. I've heard it all. Not is what we are. Not.
Servant of
But
nobody.
the deal is who we are is starting to shine through our outer exterior, right? So when you see a lot of people who are just become nothing, they've given up or they've turned to substance or they've done that, they're killing their soul. So what they're doing to their soul is a projection on the outside of their body, and it shows decay, right? And it always starts with mental decay and physical. When you grow your spirit to the next level, a lot of people are like, wow, you're kind of overbearing, or you're a strong presence, because your spirit now is starting to outgrow your body. So when you die and your spirit's free of the restraints of this, you can imagine a gallon jug is only going to hold a gallon of water, right? So if there's more and more water going in there and you're just filling that water with that healthy, gooder, it's got nowhere to go, it's going to erupt, right? So that's our soul leaving. Then our spirit can grow to whatever we want it to be, right? I could get a call from Jeff, like, hey, I want to go fuck with my daughters. Let's go mess with them. I used to do this. We can go there and do it, and they're going to understand. So the face you're talking about, this jackal face, is who he really was, right?
Yeah, he means it a prank.
So he's growing his soul through, and that's my point of it. You'll be who you are. You'll leave on the side. You will leave. And Ant is Ant, no matter what. When you talk to Ant or you see his mannerisms, I've seen him when he gets hangry. I've seen him when he's upset. I've seen him when he's happy. I've seen him when he's had enough.
Angry.
Right? So each animation is different. So we're going to know him by his animation. And that's what I mean by understanding the spirit when you can't see the features. And this has nothing to do with, they're waiting to go to hell or any of that kind of stuff. These are just them coming back and forth. We as mortals, we don't have that understanding it to know what we're able to do once we cross out of this body. Don't know. Yes, you could just end up going to sleep forever. And this could be something that someone's programming into your head. Or it could be the fact that our loved ones or our guides are coming back to try to lead us in a certain way. I really believe that. And sometimes it's just a thought. It's where you are. Me or Jeff, he could be like, man, do I do this to this person or not? And he gets that, I need to do it. Yeah, maybe that's good intuition. Or maybe it's a guide. Maybe one of his family's like Jeff did. And they get in. Or Troy, you've got to make this commitment. Or Anthony, don't say that. Pull back on that. That little voice sometimes is just not logic. Sometimes it's actually a guide. And some people call it God, and some people call it their loved ones. It's just what it is. But it's still there. Irrelevantly enough, it still exists. Do you have a take on that? Does anybody have a take on that?
Well, sorry, Jeff. No, go ahead.
I was just saying, I mean, everybody's got that inner voice, that kind of stops you from doing impulsive things. I don't know if you've ever just done something for the sake of doing it. I remember when I was a kid, I was on a school bus to a field trip, and I had this.
Sure, you're not going to miss nothing.
And I had it hanging out the window, and all of a sudden I was just like, what would happen if I dropped it? And I just did, But that on a grander scale, everybody's got that inner, or supposed to, unless you're a sociopath and you don't have that empathetic voice that says, don't do this. This is dangerous or stupid or wrong. It's our sense of right and wrong as adult human beings that we all should have, based on our core set of beliefs. So, I mean, I think that give it a name. It could really be anything. It could be, whatever, God, Satan, your Aunt Susie. It doesn't matter, as long as you have that voice and that guide showing you the difference between right and wrong. And I don't know if it's extra worldly or if it's something that's buried deep in the huge portion of our brain that we don't utilize.
Could be.
We don't utilize our brains. That's a very interesting. That's so true.
Some less than others.
That's 100%. And I agree with that. And I really think you touched on that, and that's a very valid point. Also, I talk to sometimes a theory, and I've got to in my travels of life. I'm sure, like all of us, we've got to meet some interesting characters. Lord knows I have. Some of these guys that come back, I remember a guy that he had spent a little time in prison, and he was talking to me that he shared a cell with someone who killed about 12 people. I remember him telling me this. He's like, I was in there about almost a decade, 9 years, something months. And he said he talked to me about a lot, but he used to tell me one thing that used to really freak me out, because we would talk about the paranormal. And he said, I've been dead 15, 16 times, and I've come back. Right? This is what he's telling this inmate. And he goes, once you realize that you can do whatever the hell you want here and you get another chance, you just come back and kill. Which that really got me thinking. Because if you have serial killers that have no regard for the afterlife, okay, and what could come their way, and for them to do that type of stuff and feel like it's okay, there's a lot of loose questions there, right? As far as Darkman, like, my God. So on that theory, which I'm not saying I agree with that theory, and Lord knows I'm not saying I believe it, but if that was a theory and you could be that and you just come back again, and once you're able to realize that, and he would tell them that everybody can realize it. They're just born back into the circle or whatever. So I start researching it, and Brittany, that guy that talks about when you die, you go to the light, you turn around, because if you go to the light, you'll come back. Do you remember that? Remember that theory?
What that guy, you said? Yeah, you sent that to me.
That theory that guy talked about. He was I forget his name, so I'm not going to say because I don't know his name. But he said when you pass away and you leave your body, if you go to the light, you'll be recycled. So you have to go away from that light to get to the next level of your spiritual living. And I always found that interesting, because maybe these guys, I'm coming back again. I'm going to start over. The only way I'd want to come back again and start over is if I got to do it again with the loved ones in my life that I don't have anymore.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. Same life.
I don't want to come back as somebody else. I don't want to come back with somebody else's problems, Jessica, as far as I know, that gentleman that is still locked up, I think he was in there forever. Like, he had 100 years.
I don't think
he had 100-year sentence. And the guys that had gone through committed like grand theft or something. So he was in there for a while. What's up, Jeff? Good to see you, buddy. So he was in there a while. But yes, to answer your question, I believe that he was serving a life sentence, but he was just in that prison at the time. And that guy could have been crazy, but that was a very interesting theory. I thought that was an interesting theory.
It makes sense from his perspective. He truly believes that it's like immortality. It's if you know that you could live a consequence-free life and just come back and back and back, you could do whatever you want. It's.
I'm not.
Yeah,
sure
he didn't just kill innocent people or anything. He would do things to people that I guess he was contracted to do, like a lot of them do. They don't just go out and kill an innocent, but there are people that that may not follow the justice system, if you will, and somebody's kid was molested. They say, hey, I want this person gone, not out of thinking, out of grief and anger. And this was the type of person that would do such deeds, apparently, which was, like I said, I love to hear all stories. Go ahead, Ant. You look like you were going to talk about it.
Well, Brittany was going to say something first, unless she forgot.
No, I'm good. I have it. My points written down. Yeah, I have my points.
I did want to make a point first. I wanted to just make a point for some followers that are like skeptical on it, that believe that it's like a faith thing or something like that. Like, I was raised in a Catholic family, and a lot of times for us, at least in an Italian and a Roman Catholic family, we believed that when we saw spirits, or we saw somebody or a sign of somebody that had passed away, it was a blessing for us. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't necessarily this negative, horrible realm of Satanism. It was like, for instance, my grandmother thought that Saint Anthony kept her alive for many, many years because he used to come to her in her dream. When I had family members pass away, Italians believe, a bird will, visit you the next day after the funeral, or a butterfly or whatever. And that's always happened to me. So I always saw a cardinal or a robin or a butterfly. And when Jimmy's dad passed away, never in our life had we had butterflies. And a butterfly came right up to him and landed right on his finger. I'm not even lying, a monarch. So I think in a lot of ways, like, because I have gotten a little bit of heat, and I love that. I love that I got heat for it, because, people question your faith. And I think Christians and Catholics and Lutherans and Baptists and all these different religions have their own feeling and own belief and own connection to a certain world. And for instance, the jackal, he was messing with me, but that's somebody that I wouldn't let into my life, because I'm a leader. I'm a leader naturally. I'm a natural leader. I'm a lion. So in my entire life, since I was born, I've always been the kid that was in front of everybody. So especially
if you're hungry.
Oh, Yeah, well, you know, I fast for 18 hours, so so when I
I
have
know.
to eat,
That's
I
what I
can
mean.
eat.
Feed him. He's evil.
No, so you know what I'm saying? It's
100%.
what spirits you let into your life that you allow to be a part of that world. And that's
Mhm.
why I think a lot of the spirit world for me has always, knock on wood, thank God, has always been pretty positive or pretty comforting. You know what I'm saying?
I 100% know what you're saying. I absolutely, you get good things that come back to you, and I think that that's all.
Real quick,
There's
Ann,
a
I
lot of
actually
problems.
sorry, Troy.
No,
I was gonna say, I meant to drop you a note. The video that you made the day after you guys went to the house, when you talked about the same thing you just talked about a little bit about everybody's different spirituality, and that it's not about religion, it's not about spirituality. I thought that was awesome. That was probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. You know, that you risked maybe angering some of your followers or not to come out and say that and be honest and be truthful. I mean, that's a huge, you know,
100%. It shows him he's true to his word. 100%.
really means the world to me that you feel that way, and that, you know, that
Yeah.
Mhm.
you're that open-minded, and, you know, it just
I feel that sometimes you have followers or people that follow you based off of fake pretext, like because in their mind, because they agree with you on one topic,
Jeff, exactly.
and you know they're automatically like
Looking to be led.
these same people shouldn't be following me because in their really what they believe is that my lifestyle to them is a sin already. So why they are following me is beyond me. The only thing that I can think of is because it's a sheep mentality. So they're following me because I might have the same political belief as them, or I might agree with them on one
Agreed.
certain avenue. So they're following me for that reason. But our spiritual or our religious views or our views on different things are could be very different in other ways. But you can't literally crucify somebody just because your religion for some weird reason doesn't line up with this specific topic. That
Mhm.
isn't normal.
agree.
That's not a human thought. That's not normal because
You're 100% right.
Jesus Christ walked with sinners.
Yep.
He guided sinners. He walked with them. He talked with them, and he was there for them. So if you're going to come at me with that religion crap, I'm sorry, but I'm going to listen to all religions, even the ones that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
Well
And you'll
said.
find similarities. I mean, you'll find similarities. I mean, remember, I have a personal opinion on a lot of it, and I think that I was explaining things like sometimes in my past shows, if you listen to me, people fired up, especially people of the Christian faith, because some of the things I say. But I want to be very clear on a couple things. I don't care that you're a Christian, and you shouldn't care what I do, and you shouldn't shove it down my throat, for one, and I won't do it to you. But I do things like relics. Like people see me have like shirts with the upside down cross on it. And that is a new 1980s version of what Satanism is. That's a lie. First of all, folks, you need to get your Bible studies in play. Catholics crucified people who didn't feel worthy of Jesus. St. Peter was the first one. So they turned the cross upside down because he wasn't worthy of Jesus, which is your Messiah, right? So the cross were put upside down, and they were crucified that way because they were unworthy of Christ. Has nothing to do with Satanism. It started with Catholicism and their honor for Jesus. That's where it started. So, yes, I do that. And it always triggers people. And when I ask me, and then I get to explain it, and I go, if you don't believe me, look into your religion yourself or Google it.
And you're the most non-evil person.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've ever met.
Because
like animals literally like talk to you.
Right. He's the male bearded Snow White. Birds come and land on his shoulder.
There you go.
Say that. I would just put the words right out of my mouth.
And I think that because I don't portray what people of certain faiths believe, the strongest faith is Christianity. I mean, there's never been a Jewish person come up and, spit on me or rip their shirt or anything and tell me I'm going to hell. I mean, that's just the way it is. And I really don't hate religion. I use words like imaginary friends because when I say imaginary friends, this is what I mean by that. I've explained this to my mother this week because she just shy of pulled a knife on me for saying it. God bless her for doing it. But here's the deal. Imaginary friends is what you create in your mind. Okay. I could take Anthony and Jeff and create them to be whatever I wanted to and start spreading crap about them or spreading good news. So you can take your God and you can say, I had a Christian say to me, I just want to say this to you, Ant. They said, your friends that are gay are really cool and we can love them here, but they will not get in the gates of heaven. Have you ever thought about talking to them?
I get it all the time in my messages.
I'm like, well, then I'm going to go straight to hell with them, dude, because I'm not going there if you don't want us around. And I'm not being mean about that, but to me, that's not right. You should never treat anyone like that. And unfortunately, in the supernatural world that Brittany and I do and you're coming into, you're going to get a lot of that flack. And Brittany's a Christian. Okay. Yep. She has her faith, and you have to respect that. So my term when I say imaginary friends is when you're making up gods to fit your specific hate or controlling your wife or controlling people, whatever you want. That's when I say imaginary friends, because I don't believe God, whatever that is to whoever, is imaginary. But I think in every religious teaching, even in true Satanism, you're supposed to love people. You don't hurt them. You don't hurt animals. You don't pour your poison on them. I read that to you. You understand what that's supposed to be? Jeff and I are familiar with that. Christianity follow the same guidelines, but they don't. And then they don't want to say things that they agree, and they attack us for doing this. I want to be able to post paranormal things without having to be attacked or worshipped or witnessed to every time I turn on the thing. Well, what you're doing is evil. And I saw that, and I felt bad for you. I literally, and Ant can comply with this. I said I feel bad because I was in one picture, and more people looked at me and compared me to Joe Biden or whatever, because I was part of the evil regime. And what is Ant doing there? And I think that that's very, very interesting that people's minds are simple enough to go that route.
Yeah.
And if you are, just hold back and I don't want to talk to you. Do some homework and then come to me and have a debate.
Unfortunately, you know what I mean? It's
right. Professionalism.
We become so polarized that you're either here or you're here, which is one of the reasons that I like to kind of ride right over here.
Yep.
Because then I get to mess with everybody. But no, I think that you're definitely. I think it's cool that
definitely do that.
That we represent so many different facets of religion or spirituality.
And,
I was raised Jewish, and we have Catholic,
Christian. Over this way. Over here.
And and then
this way.
I think it's nice that we all get along, and we should be a great example for the world that we can sit down and have a regular, rational, adult conversation without finding one thing about the other person and condemning them for everything else that they do.
100,000,000%. And I think that you're Jeff, you hit that right on the head.
Absolutely.
And Anthony is one of the greatest people in the world. I don't care what his preference is, religion-wise or sex-wise, or what kind of dog he likes to keep.
I love that.
I don't. His dog is pretty badass, but I don't care about what that stuff doesn't bother me. It's who Andy is spiritually. I don't care about that other stuff. And you saw what he did when he made that post. I mean, he is an influencer, and he made a very legitimate post. And he was honest about who he was. He didn't bow down and die on his knees, and that's important. And a lot of people, you look at things, and you see us as Mambo. Yes, Mambo. You see us as
that's my friend
evil
Colin,
or something, or Jeff and I are evil because of how we look, or we do things. If you really think about paranormal or supernatural, all religions are different, but people like to burn sage. People like to throw holy water at stuff.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people see pentagrams. I want to clear this up. Pentagrams are not what you think they are. They're to keep evil spirits from entering the temple.
Right.
Okay.
Doesn't matter
That's
what
the origin of the pentagram. It's not from the Motley Crew. God bless Motley Crew. Obviously, the name of the show. But it's not the purpose. Right. It's not the purpose of the album. That would scare people. And because we were living through the satanic panic, Jeff and I were living through that
firsthand.
We were the consumers of music. We were the consumers. Yes, Jeff's a little older than me, but we were still the consumers. We know all the same music. We did all the same stuff, right?
Yeah,
Jeff probably fought a little harder than I did because he was a little older at the time and he was facing more bullshit.
I was definitely in the
I still had home to go to. But what I mean by that is people were like, hey, like us, their age right now, I'd go, Jeff, why don't we put a pentagram on the album that Anthony just released, because it's going to piss everybody off. They're going to buy it.
Right. And that's what it is. It was a matter of getting a rise out of people, that they weren't Satanists either.
Exactly. Do you remember? I want to say this, you youngins. Bruce Dickinson is the lead singer of Iron Maiden. He started on the album The Number of the Beast.
One of my all-time.
During the Satanic Panic. Iron Maiden is not a satanic band. They are a British band. They're about the welfare of people and the caring of people. And if you listen, they sung about the Indians being tortured and the British and the fights and the wars. It was unnecessary. Run to the hills. They said, Bruce Dickinson said, I don't understand. They label us as a satanic band. And they buy over 1 million of our albums to burn.
That's it.
So he wrote a song called Holy Smoke. He wrote a song called Holy Smoke. And I think you have to understand that that's where it got into. And so people of our age that were easily led in, like, so I'm looping back to what you said. They're looking for something to follow or something to attach to. Like we have, trolls now on here that tell us all kinds of shit about ourselves and what we're doing wrong. And they know better because, they've had life experiences. They've been in the water with crocodiles and they've dealt in paranormal. They know everything, right? So at the end of the day, they were like, hey, it's a business move. Let's do it. And then so a lot of easily led people went on to have children that are now our age that are having children in their 20s and late 20s and taught them that garbage. Yes, Tom Araya of Slayer is Catholic. I think Slayer is satanic. If you listen to what Slayer talks about, personally what Tom believes, he is a Catholic and he truly follows that. So I find that amazing across the line. And to me, that simple belief is still out there. To treat other humans like that is absolutely unnecessary in this day and age. That's just how I feel.
And by the way, as a Catholic, I don't agree with a lot of what the Catholic Church has done and currently does. I don't have to say it. Y'all already know what that rap is. Okay. I've also interviewed people who have been Southern Baptist or Christian, who their parents tortured them, tortured them and literally almost killed them in worship to, give to the Lord. So that in my mind was satanic. That was weird to me. So every religion has that weird nuance, or it is you as a person, as your character. That's all that matters, is you as a person. What do you, I don't give a shit what shirt you're wearing. And you know what, Troy, I didn't, that video was just to let people know, just in general. And you and I had this conversation off cam where I was like, you're like, I'm so sorry. You were so cute about it because you're like, I'm so sorry, dude. If it's a problem, like take it off. And I'm like, you're my fucking brother. Like you're my brother. Why would I? What? These are faceless people that are just spewing repent, rebuke them in the name of the Lord. Rebuke them. All I can remember is the movie Carrie and how fucked up her mom was because she was like, "You're gonna die, Carrie. Rebuke, Carrie." She was a crazy Christian. I mean, that's all I could think of.
Fucking dying.
She used to throw her in the fucking closet.
Hands on
crucifixes all
Brittany
over
is not. Look at Brittany. She is stone cold quiet.
And I think
making me nervous.
Your bravery impresses me. I gotta say, on so many.
Am I saying something wrong, Brittany? I'm sorry. I will keep it very PG.
No, you're fine.
Plus, I love this one.
Yeah, I did that because that's Ant. When you talk to him, he goes like this. So I try to go, I have to run my knuckles down.
That's going to be my new response. Okay, Carrie's mom. Have a good day.
I can't wait for the show. So here, any one of us, including Brittany, Brittany's got her own faith. We all believe. I don't condemn anyone for what they do. I want to be very clear on that. I may look a certain way, or Brittany may call herself a Christian, and she's automatically labeled as someone that would not hang out with Ant because he's gay or whatever. That stuff is not here. None of us support any of that type of behavior. I don't support animal cruelty, child molestation, raping and robbing and hurting just a fellow human that absolutely doesn't deserve it. And I think that
oddly enough,
I felt bad for Ant because I know his platform, right? And I'm used to dealing with that. And the fact that he stood up with that really shows his character. So all of you that do follow him and stand behind him, what he is, he's a great person to be behind because he really does mean what he says, and he's really good about it. And Brittany does too. Brittany's one of the most honest people. I joke with her all the time about ice or whatever, but she's an honest, straightforward person, and she doesn't hide what she does. A lot of people don't like to talk about working in paranormal or about being this or that or whatever because people just always have something to say. I don't care. a Christian could come on this show and we could have a wonderful debate. We'll talk about it. I have no problem. And you know what? If you can change my mind, well, more power to you.
Especially them, Seth. The best thing about this show is everybody is 100% themselves from the time we start to the time we finish. We talk exactly the same way in the hour or so after we sign off when we're just amongst ourselves and there's nobody watching. You know what I mean?
And you need to be like that. The people that see us on here, you have to understand that's who we are.
This is
we're not being fake. And anybody I've ever welcomed in, there are people that don't like me just because I can do more than they can, no matter how famous they are or what they do in their, whatever they play with or whatever. They try to be cool, but I just have different ways of doing things because I don't burn on my bridges. Okay, I don't. Yeah. You don't go back and burn those bridges. And I know the young people burn your bridges. You learn to swim. Raw. They're not strong enough for that in the first place.
Yeah, scorched earth is no way to
relationships. Keep your relationships.
Okay, but can we talk about how cute Britt's cup is? I
got it today just for us. You're welcome.
So we did digress, but we want to talk a little about that.
Oh, wait. I want to just go back to my points. I've been patiently waiting, so everyone can talk.
I to say a little bit, Brittany, because there are people that have got first for it.
I get it, but I also have points on that too. But I'll start at the top, and I'll make
it the top
very quick. So to start with kids, Troy, you said you sit on the fence with the kid spirits. I back you on that one. I studied what kids see, what they experience as far as supernatural. We have to understand their third eye is actually open for a very long period of time versus ours. And a lot of what adults do is we imprint on our kids to not be open to these things. These things aren't real. Don't believe what you see. It's fake, 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 fake. So we program our kids to not believe in these things, and we need to close off to them, right? Everybody knows me, knows I don't do that with my kids. I'm very open with my kids. That's why my son and I have very long, lengthy conversations. And I got a lot of hate for that too. I actually got a lot of hate for me explaining to my children about the paranormal and being honest with them. I do it in a very appropriate manner for their age. I'm not just going to go in and be like, hey, demons are real. You want to see one? That's not how you do it. It's unprofessional. Like there's a way to do it. Okay. Yeah. So when it comes to kids, and if we go back for just a second to the St. Augustine event, when there was a kid in the room, when kids come up to you and they say, hey, I saw somebody in the room today and I talked to them or I spoke to them, you need to understand, I think kids can actually transcend between multiple frequencies because they're open to it. So they're using their brain. Their brain is a sponge and they're very open. We close it, but their brains are open until the age of 8 years old. It's very absorbent, very open, and their mind is very open. So I think when you saw a child, I think that child was actually present in the time, because that jail was originally owned by a man who had 2 children, and those children would run through that jail and play in that jail. So, right. And so for me, I think that they were transcending through time. And when they happened to see Jimmy, they touched him and was like, hey, this guy's like here. That's cool. And then he was gone. So when it comes to kid spirits, I think that they're just open to going through time and space throughout their mind and dream state and physical state. And to them, they're able to see what they think are spirits, but it might be people through the time bending.
Well, they're not poisoned yet.
Right. They haven't been corrupt by.
You mean it hasn't gone to school. They haven't gone to school and been put in a classroom and condemned to be like everybody else and believe what you're told. That's what you're saying.
Well, I'm just saying, like, no, not 100%, but like there are people that, they want to raise their kids a certain way. And I'm not going to tell you how to raise your kids, but our kids do have open minds. They are absorbing of all knowledge of so much. And I think to an extent we shut that down, and we need to encourage it to be remained open so that they can experience things. They can think outside the box, and they have the ability to think out of the box. And then, of course, with time bending, it's the transcending of time and space to where we are bending on themselves. And there's actually 2 theories by Einstein that back this. And you guys, those listening, you can look it up and research it. I wrote a hypothesis on it in regards to how it plays into the paranormal. When it comes to clothing, in a spiritual sense, no. But let's just say Ant is at a location and somebody that he loves very dear wants him to realize who they are. Ant might not recognize them in a spiritual state. Therefore, that person will come in clothes that they'll remember them by. I have dealt with many accounts where I've had people say, I know that I saw my loved one, whether it's an aunt, uncle, father, mother, sister, whatever. And I will ask how, and they will say, well, they were wearing this particular shirt, or they were wearing this particular set of shoes I bought them, or these certain things. When they came in a form, but they were younger. They came in a healthier state to let them know I'm okay. And so I think that there are spirits that will come dressed as they would have been, as an appearance of themselves, and not always in a spiritual form. I think that it depends on the situation. So in the sense, we don't need our body, but if you go by Egyptology, they believed we did need our body, that we would reconnect with it on the other side. However, they didn't believe we needed a brain, because our heart was our brain. So it's interesting how over time different things have gone in different ways. When it comes to the paranormal, there is no such thing as religion. I'm sorry. I've been in it for so long now. If you have a spiritual preference on how you protect yourself when you're in the field, that's your personal thing. That has nothing to do with anybody else. There are people that get caught up watching the TV shows that think they know everything because somebody said I was demon possessed at a pool bar. Okay. No. So these things are all just TV. Okay. This is TV, and not everything you see on TV is how it is in the real life. There are great shows on there, but people that don't know the field watch these shows and automatically think they have all the answers. So they don't mean it to be mean or come at you abrasively to be like, I know better than you. Don't do this, Aunt. It's just because they've been kind of conditioned over time through different television shows that they have the answers, right? Like they know because they've been educating themselves through Google or the internet by some of these paranormal groups. But when you've been in it as long as we have a different perspective on it than most people. And when it comes to parishes and exercising priests,
going back now,
those also look at things very scientific. So even in the Catholic Church and Roman Catholic, like you were bringing up, Aunt, a lot of people don't know that those particular parishes and those exercising priests have a team of scientists that work with them. And they are very open to spirits. They know what spirits are. Spirits come and go even during exorcisings of demons. So we need to be aware of how to take care of ourselves, but each person has their own spiritual practice. And it's not for any of us to judge that person on how they protect themselves, what they do, how they believe, or what they believe. It's a common ground that we all can say, we want answers. There's an unknown area in this scientific field of paranormal, and we want those answers. Where do those answers lie? So at the end of the day, we're all going after the same thing. We're just going about it a different way. So in the paranormal is where I like to be all the time. Even as a Christian, like I don't put it out there unless somebody asks me. I'm not going to put it in your face. I'm not going to tell you you're unholy. I'm not going to condemn you. That's not my personality. I've never been that person. I love all. Everybody who knows me knows I love all. Like you hurt an animal, you hurt a child, you're dead to me. That's it. Yep. But as far as everything else, I love you and you're a friend to me. I don't care. I'm open to all. And in the paranormal sense, I've never in the paranormal, I've never come across somebody who has been like, oh, you're a Christian in the paranormal. What's wrong with you? Like, they're like, oh, cool, whatever. Like, they don't care. It's because we're a family. You're a family all looking for the right thing and want the same answers because for some reason, at some point in your life, you had an experience you couldn't explain. And you really, really want to be with people that you have a connection with and understand you and won't judge you, no matter what your preference is. And that's kind of what the paranormal is. And that's why I love it.
Brett, this question is for you.
Do demons exist as protection against them? Asking for the class. Demons do exist. I'm not going to lie to you. Demons go as far back as, and that's in with every religion. There's a type of demonic entity within every religion. It's not just a Christian thing where like, oh, there's fallen angels. There's all demons. There are very demonic, dark entities and dark spirits that, again, I've been in locations where they pretended to be children and looked at me in a camera. And I have photograph of that, who tried to be a child. They are twisted in the sense that they will take your weakest part of you and they will use it against you. They do exist. They are out there. And ways to protect them, I will say, is you just have to have power in yourself and to know that you are in control of your own self. You are in control of your own. And I hate to term it like this because I know people are like, oh, there's a religious term, but truly your body is a temple, right? It's your house. It is where you are safe. To protect yourself from that, you need to be the only person that can rule yourself. If you don't want negative in your home, exactly. If you don't want somebody in your home, you take command of your home. You tell those entities, you tell those spirits, you are not welcome here. This is not your space. After every investigation, I don't do that whole, I'm so thankful that you were so nice to me. I don't do that. At the end of it, I go, I came, I'm breaking all the chains. You have no attachment to me. You stay here and you don't come home with me. You're not welcome home with me. And I take command of the situation and I leave. That's what I do, just because this is my temple. This is my home. And I have kids at home. You're not going to come and mess with me. And if you do, you're done. Like, I will get rid of you. Like, I will take control and get rid of you. I'm not scared of this.
He almost passed out from the power of the Holy Spirit with that speech.
See, there's the joke. Still. There it is. No, but I said it's not like a religious thing. It's just.
No, you're funny. I was teasing you because I'm glad what you said was very well said. I agree.
That's
Do
all
y'all
I'm
want to
saying.
know what just happened to me?
What?
Troy, somebody just walked past my desk. Nobody's home.
That's why you were like this.
Dude.
I guess we need to.
You know, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people. This is why I wanted to get this show out of the way, because
I literally
really dig into the paranormal, because we just want.
It came over my whole, but the back of the hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
You're
sorry.
open.
Oh,
to
there's
it, Ann.
Kimberly. I think that's Judy's favorite person. She likes her better than us.
She does love. Who doesn't love Kim? Sorry.
I mean,
Yeah.
as much as Judy does.
And you just have to understand, like I said before, we all have our own frequencies, and some people's frequencies are much greater and much higher, and it affects the frequencies around us. So there are people that literally can, and that's why I said, even with you and Troy together, your frequencies are so strong that in a sense it can melt that veil, so that when you're together, more things can come through. And there are some powerful ones on the other side that really
Read that,
like
folks. Read that, folks.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Ed and Lorraine Warren were some of the most
Yes, they
top
were.
names in the industry or in the paranormal scope. And I loved them. I was obsessed with them and their work and everything that they did. And Ed was devout. And in fact, the coolest part about Ed and Lorraine was the church gave him approval on multiple times to do true exorcisms on his own without them being there, which is a huge, like, what? Because they knew he knew what he was doing. And he was very in control of himself in those situations. Because if you're not, I hate to say it, but shit can go sideways real fast.
Well, you know,
exorcisms are no joke. That's no joke.
you're either sensitive to it or you're not. And a lot of times the people either that aren't sensitive to it can't understand it, so they downplay it. And then some people are sensitive to it and they're scared and they don't want to accept it. So you got that too.
Yep.
Yeah, just learn to go with the flow, man. And I think that, you know, you see things in yourself. Jeff, I know you've been around somewhere and something happens, you just kind of smirk to yourself like,
Oh, all the time.
all right, man. And I know you're here, whoever it is that you may think at that time, but you just know. And I think that's.
Ant's
Did I tell you that,
getting bugged out. He's hearing stuff. Look at him.
Did
Oh
I
my
tell you
God.
that- No, go ahead, Ann. I want to get this in the moment.
Yeah, he's.
There's weird stuff that's happened in the new house. I let Captain out through my office. So there's a French door to the house and then a door to the outside backyard. And I let him out one night and you know, I realized I was like, he's not barking to come in. I'm gonna go see what's going on. And I walk and he's actually in the office, closed in the French doors and closed in the door from the outside. The door wasn't open, it was locked. And he's just sitting in the office looking at me through the French doors. And I really didn't think anything of it. I was like, maybe I went to let him out and I got distracted as I do and didn't let him out. But I can't for the life of me remember never not letting him out the back door. So that was kind of odd.
Well, it's funny, Jeff, that you say that, because I want to take it back to the May Stringer house for a second, because when we were talking to the couple there, Brooke and Jesse, which you can look them up, guys, give them the shout out for Pitt Paranormal for Brooksville. Great team
I'm
of
going to take
people.
Ruby there next week, by the way, if they're open.
I don't know. I will
They're
text
not
you
home,
because
probably.
I'm having I have a
Well,
meeting there
probably.
next week, so I'll let you know.
Please do.
But they mentioned mimicking. Now, I'm just gonna say this. I'm sure people will be like, "Oh my God!" But I do not believe in mimicking ghosts. Okay. I think that's a little bit far from me, just from my experience and expertise in the field. I don't believe in mimicking ghosts. To me, I think that is a perfect example of the bending of time. When people hear their name being called by somebody that they know and they live with. Okay. So I don't believe in mimickers. I think you are either seeing yourself or you're seeing your loved one who was walking in that hallway maybe a day or two ago. And it's just shifting in an image and you're seeing it. I'm not a full believer in mimicking unless you are in your room and you have a spirit that literally sounds like your grandmother who no longer exists and is calling out to you and taunting you. Then you have a mimicker. But when it's literally like, hey, I'm going outside, and you're like, nobody's here. Who just said that? But it sounded a lot like my husband or my
It
wife.
was Captain that said that.
I just think
He said my name. You
think that's kind of a time bending situation. And some of the accounts that the May Stringer has, I think they have a ton of things going on there. Personally, I would love to know what's on the ground. I'd like to know if there's quartz crystals. I would like to know if there's limestone under the house. I would like to know what some of the nails are that are actually in that house, what kind of material and metals that they are used, because a lot of these things resonate energy. So you get too much going. Like when I used to investigate houses, I used to turn on all the faucets. You know why? To conduct energy, because the most energy comes from flowing water. So I used to actually turn on faucets when I would investigate homes because it's conducting energy through the house. It's like putting off an EM pump. So it's just like,
maybe when people take showers, that's a portal. And when we left the May Stringer house, I did tell whatever was messing with Jimmy or with Aunt that they were allowed to go home with him.
Which is not nice.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's what's walking around right now.
No, I haven't. That's not whatever this is it's whatever is always here when you're here.
I know, I was joking. But I do love things. I like haunted objects. I like things that are attached that I can get off. I like having them here.
I know you do.
Like them here.
Well, you have something there because when I was taking a shower, nobody else had this issue with the light flickering in the bathroom.
In the bedroom, you said?
I just love when Aunt does this.
I'm fucking out, dude. I'm fucking out.
What do you mean, dude?
God.
Do we need to come down there?
Oh my God.
Are you all right?
The second I said that, the water in the shower let out water in the shower.
Just a little pressure.
Blowing energy, man.
Yeah, but nobody's taken a shower since this morning, Troy.
You got to be
Well,
careful.
Ghost wanted to clean up a little bit, dude.
You got to be careful.
Anyways, when I was in Troy's,
I would do the same if I was dead. I'd turn your shower on for you.
I know you would. When I was in Troy's bathroom, the lights were flickering. Only when I was in there, though. There were new bulbs, LED bulbs.
Energy.
Everyone's like, turn the light bulb. Duh. I'm like, bro, they're new light bulbs. Like, I already tried that.
Yeah, they were LED. They shouldn't have been doing that. They don't do it now. So it was weird.
I do have a question for you, Aunt. Have you ever felt your bed shake when it shouldn't shake?
No, I am not Linda Blair.
This is not like that. Like phantom vibrations. Do you ever feel those? Like a lot of people notice them when they're laying in bed. The reason why I mentioned the bed is because a lot of people notice when they're laying in bed, they'll get a phantom vibration in their body in the bed.
Oh, I actually have had that through my body.
He just thinks it's his cell phone, though, and he grabs for it.
It's not, though.
No, I never associated it to anything. So,
okay.
So I want you to say something.
You need to. Those are frequency shifts that your body is physically picking up on that's happening around you. So you do need to pay attention to those.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to ask if you guys caught my reaction on camera then, but obviously because we're live.
Yeah. You're like, I'm out. I'm out.
And
I am clipping this and putting this out tomorrow.
Wait, I'm not even on our next investigation. I ran out of my own room.
in your house.
Oh my God, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think, but you're laughing, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it
They're
was fun.
teasing
That
you,
was cool.
and I
Yeah,
want to
oh,
say
yeah.
that I allow things here. I welcome them here. Brittany knows that. Brittany has seen a couple things she didn't like here. When I was talking to you about that ant, she went upstairs and saw something in one of the rooms she did not like. My mom
I will
thought
tell
was
you what I
breaking her.
saw. I'll tell you what I saw because Troy said I want you to go upstairs because I how he worded it. I was like, this isn't gonna be good. He already knows what's upstairs. And so I walked in the room and this thing was standing against the wall, like
Is
far
this
back
at the
against
May?
the wall.
Is this at the May house?
This is
No, this was at
my
Troy's
house.
house.
Okay.
But it was in my po room.
It was in his po room and it was standing very tall up against the back of the wall. It was solid black, very slender figure. And as soon as it saw me, it just looked right at me. There's no facial expression, just a tall black, just eyes. That's all I remember really. And it looked right at me and it was like, oh, hi. Like it knew I know how to get you. Cause I have a thing for spider crawling ghosts. Like that bothers me. I don't like that. Like it's always gotten me in buildings when I see them. It really freaks me out. And so this thing literally like looked at me and it like knew instantly that was one of my fears and it preyed on it. So what did it do? It came off the wall and its arms went up like this and it peeked up real high and the back legs peeked up real high like an insect and it came at me really fast and I went, nope. And I slammed the door and I said,
She did. My mom said, what did you put up there?
I said, nope, I don't like that. I'm not going in there. I don't want anything to do with that thing. I don't want anything. It can stay right in there. I'm good. I don't want anything to do with it. And Troy was like, what to do? And then I told Troy, and she's like, okay, yeah, okay. So
when
we
did
both
that happen?
Texting Troy to cancel all plans of coming to his house right now.
But like, I mean, so
but it wasn't doing that all the time. It just preyed on one of my fears. It knew one of my fears. So it tried to intimidate me with that fear. And then later I went to the next room and I laid down and it came to me and it wasn't the same way. It actually just sat in the chair and stared at me. Like it didn't like me or it did like me or it was trying to figure me out. And it just kind of stared at me. And I told Troy that I said, it's just sitting in the chair. And I don't like it. It's making me uncomfortable. It's just sitting there, like just staring at me.
A lot of times you have to remember that, and I know this to be true because I just know this to be true for myself. Do it yourself if you want to. I'll start with my house is welcome for that. I don't mind spirits being here. As a matter of fact, I really enjoy it. I like it when I see my nephew get scared. I like it when someone goes, I'm not going to go upstairs without the lights on. Okay.
I can't blame
I'm going down late at night to get something and I have to run back upstairs. I feel like someone's trying to tag. We're playing tag in the hallway. I'm like, bam, gotcha. Can't get me. You know? So and that game sometimes, we play that game sometimes, you know, I'm like, not tonight, man. Oh, don't touch my leg, don't touch me. And I feel like that sometimes. And maybe just my mind working itself. But they're welcome here. And Ant's been here now. Not a lot of people have been here since it's the way it is now, but everything inside my house.
What was that?
They can't actually hurt you if it's something that you're not used to or if it's evil. I don't have anything like that. But you have come here, and my house is entirely black skulls.
Dude,
no
it's
text.
so
lamps,
good.
pentagrams,
It's so
all kinds.
good.
How did you feel here? How did you feel in here?
So cozy. I woke up in the morning, everyone was asleep, and I just went downstairs and just, I don't know, I felt super, super cozy. Like, my house is complete opposite. Britt's house, we're opposite of Troy. We're like, everything is beachy, all
light and
white,
dark.
bright. I got a statue of St.
Light and
Anthony. I got a statue of St. Anthony in one of the rooms.
Yeah,
Padre
I have
Pio
angels.
in another room. His house is complete opposite, but I felt so safe and cozy. I can't explain it.
Mm-hmm. Troy's house is warm. I love Troy's home.
Well, most people would think that it was bad, but I don't put that kind of energy into it. What?
Like I said, your house has character. I've said this from the beginning. Your house has character. And it really, to me, is like the real life haunted mansion. Okay. And I say that lightheartedly because it's not meaning to be a joke. I mean, in the sense of like, because he welcomes spirits, it's like when you enter the door, it should be like, we're still looking for that one. We're 99. We need that one. Because it's like, you know that there are entities in that house, but they aren't bad. Like they're just ever flowing and ever changing, even in Troy's house. So it's interesting to me. I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't feel like it's bad. I don't personally want it. You know, I like my space, but I don't mind going to my brother's. I always feel
sometimes, but even sometimes me, I get caught off guard. Like I said, I say this for for people who are doubters. Yes, maybe it's my mind playing tricks on me sometimes. I'm okay with that. I'll agree with that too. But if it is, that's fun because I have a good time with my mind then. But there's a lot of things that sometimes I'll get caught. Come on, man. I'm trying to go in my room. Now. Come on now. What's that for? You know, or you'll be standing somewhere and a curtain will just fly out. No, and you're like, okay, you try to blame the draft. But I mean, really though, Brittany, I did, and Aunt was standing next to me, and I asked that little girl to push the string, and she did.
In your house?
In the May Stringer house.
No, in the
Oh, yeah, in May Stringer. Yeah, yep.
I took Aunt in the back. He's like, "Where'd you go?" And I like to go in the darkest, most spot I can get to because that's what I do. I like that. I know a lot of people don't. They get scared, but I really love it. Like, I love it. So I'm like, go ahead, do something. And I'm like, I stood back and let him go, and you could see, you saw it moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Aunt was looking at it like this.
I couldn't
Is there a
believe it
draft?
when he called me over and I looked at that string and I just
I
looked
said,
at
"You
it,
ask it to touch the string. I'm not even going to be involved." And I
And
was
I was
right like
like-
this. My hand. I didn't do nothing.
and it was just
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mhm.
like, oh,
I can actually see it.
Britt, have you ever had to tell a spirit to leave your home?
Yeah. Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
I agree, Seth.
Actually, I'll tell you, I lived in this house, and in fact, I actually called Mom after I was done doing it because I needed to make sure I did it correctly. I was standing, I had a guest room, Troy, my house in Orlando. I had a
Yep.
guest room. You kind of walk down a little corridor. There's 2 guest rooms and a bathroom. The guest room, one afternoon, it was probably like 4:00, and I was getting ready to go to work. And in the guest room, I heard a woman crying. Like I could hear a woman actually physically crying, like weeping, like really hardcore. And I thought, I was like, oh, maybe it's my neighbor. And then I realized my neighbor wasn't home. So I go in the room and I go right to the door, and I hear like a woman like full blown crying, like like that, like right at the door. I open the door.
Aunt would have died
Nothing
right there. They'd have found him dead in his
Oh,
time.
And
I would have burnt the bitch to the ground.
Yeah, but and I'm not joking around. I opened the door, there was nothing there, and as I slammed the door and I came back out into my living room, as I literally turned the corner to stare at my table and chairs, all the chairs flew out from the table, like a good inch,
honey, I'm out the window.
like a good inch. And so as soon as that happened, I went into like exorcism mode.
Come
And
straight here.
I just go right to Troy's house. I was like, I literally I took care of what I needed to do, and I just commanded my space and took over my space. And I mean, that was basically, and I had nothing else happen after that. And now I don't want people to think that the paranormal is like all dark, like, oh, it's demonic every time you have an experience. No, I've had more really cool, badass, awesome experiences versus dark experiences, if that makes anything better. Like, I'll tell a quick account that happened to me in St. Augustine. I used to work up there, helping people learn how to use dowsing rods over like a summer in St. Augustine with a couple of my friends up there. They would bring me up and help teach dowsing rods on their midnight investigations in some of the locations. And what is now considered the hospital of St. Augustine, I had finished doing the tour. We were done for the night, and I wanted to go back in and get some of my equipment pieces. And all night long, my girlfriend was like, all night long, I have smelled what sounded like potpourri behind you the whole time, like all night long, like this ridiculous floral smell. And you don't smell like that. My body spray is cotton candy. So they're like, we know that that's not you. So I'm like, well, maybe I should just go in to the one room where patients would have been brought in for surgery. And I'll just go in there and I'll just say, hey, whoever was following me around tonight, thank you for joining me. And I really hope that, I don't remember what spiel I gave. It was so many years ago now. This was like 15 years ago. And as this is God honest. This happened to me. It was terrifying and also really amazing at the same time. As I'm in the middle of in this dark room and they're packing up behind me, my friend Tammy and her husband, I'm literally saying, whatever. I hope we could help you in any way. It was like the whole room went dark and there was a woman next to me, and this woman had a bun. She was in a very intricate dress, and it was like she wrapped her arms around me this way real tight and held me like I couldn't physically move. She leaned into my ear and she kept saying, they wouldn't let me see him. They wouldn't let me see him. He died and I couldn't say goodbye. I was not his wife. They wouldn't let me see him.
Oh,
So-
she was a side piece.
No. Let me finish.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm crying.
I thought it too, Troy. I don't feel
Say
So
what Aunt
I'm like crying, and this was like a period. Like I could tell that what I was seeing, what she was trying to show me, was like from a really long time ago, and the way she was dressed. And so I'm like crying, and what I didn't know, because I was kind of trapped in this moment, like just like trying to go through it quickly, was my friends, her husband came to move me because I was standing still, frozen, crying, and like he tried to physically move me, and he couldn't. He goes, Brittany, I physically could not move you. You were like anchored. Like I'm a strong man, and I couldn't physically move you. And then when I came out, all I said to her was, if I can help you or find a way to help you, I will. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I'm so sorry. And I'm like crying, telling her I'm so sorry this happened. And then it was like poof, gone. Like she was just gone. So then I'm telling them what happened. And now, mind you, St. Augustine had a horrible fire. So a lot of documentation was burnt up, like really, really bad. So they don't have a lot of information. But what's interesting is that when I asked my friend to do a little bit more research and I did more research, there ended up being a woman who was denied as a fiance to see her husband in war before he died because she was not married. And during that time, if you were not married to the person, you could not come in and say goodbye. It was not allowed.
Well, that's
So
nice.
she, I guess, fought and kind of turned the tables on that. So if you were engaged, you could then go in. But at that time, she was like, I guess, mad. I don't really know. So anyway, so I found all that out afterwards, after that experience. And that was one of those experiences that really turned the turning point for me, that I was like, why did I need to know this? Like, why and how did this happen? Why did this happen? So it was very weird for me. And I still to this day have so many questions about that experience because it doesn't line up with a lot of things of how I believe or what I think or what I saw or from my other experiences, like in Gettysburg. So I'm like, none of this makes sense why this happened, but it was a cool experience. So it wasn't terrifying. It was more like a really cool experience that I got to experience that. So I'd like to see that happen to Ant.
Great.
Oh, I'm not worried about it. It will.
I 100% want to take Ant. Like and I'm going to share something with you after the show.
All right, so I'm going to finish up with the show here. I want to say something. So you guys know we're going to be starting up a lot of more investigations with Ant. It's going to be Pat Paranormal. You can find it on TikTok and Instagram. Please look it up.
Yep.
We will be going and doing that type of stuff. We'll make sure Ant brings a change of diapers, according to the Texan. I'm sure I came over here. All right, you can watch the State of the Union.
I love it.
I'm sure Biden's got a lot of good things to say tonight.
You can say the State of the Union in one word: FUCKED.
Exactly. So with that being said, we will we'll start doing that. We're going to air a show. Brady's got a meeting next week. We'll be going back to the Mason House, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And a few other ones here in Florida. So we're going to start about that in Florida, and we'll have a nice little system going there. We're going to be doing some cool stuff, and also pay attention to Ant's page too, because we're going to be releasing a trip to Salem. We're going to be doing that in September. So you'll be able to hang out with us and visit us, especially Ant. But guys can't get a little too crazy. I might have to get into the middle of it. Chance like. But anyways, we'll go ahead and do that kind of stuff, and we'll be promoting that. So keep an eye on those pages. I'll run them on this match. Everybody can come along if you want a chance. There'll be a page to go to, and you'll be able to come and do that. We have a tour company to handle stuff. We're going to spend some time in Salem. We're going to go see some of the new Black Craft store, all over the Salem Witch Trials tour, where Jeff's apartment used to be in Boston. All that kind of cool stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right in the middle of it all. Right in the middle of it all. The fish are coming. Anyways.
Yeah, we do need to go to take him to Ma Barker's. Hands down.
Yep,
Yeah,
we're going to do that too. We're going to get in the middle. We're going to definitely want to do that. You're welcome. Appreciate that, Tex. That's Texan. That's awesome. Love you too, Seth. Good to see everybody.
Texan, find me. You're awesome.
Yep, find Britt Investigates.
Solid. I would love to bring Colin with me on one. He's
Bye,
one
Kimmy.
of my very good friends. Texan.
Kim, haven't seen you. Hope you're doing good.
Well, she'll be in Salem. We always bring Kim with us. But yeah, we want to sign out, guys. Thanks for coming to the show and supporting the Motley Croc Show and what we do here. We have a good time with everybody. It's a nice, quiet, mainstream show tonight. We stayed on track, and we appreciate that. And thanks for coming out, Ann, as always. So you guys stand by while I go ahead and close this down. And she said, send the info, Ant. He's going to. We'll make sure everybody gets the info. Remember, Bat Paranormal on Instagram, and you can find all of us there. We'll talk to you later. You guys have a great night.